At the beginning of the story, we see a scientist named Sebastian. This scientist has been researching for a long time and has discovered a medicine that can make any creature, whether human or animal, invisible, but he could not discover a medicine that could make the invisible creature visible again. He had been working on that project for the past year so that he could make the lost invisible creatures visible once more. After a lot of struggle, he finally succeeded in that task. That is, he discovered a medicine that could make invisible creatures visible again. He had made many animals disappear, and now he wanted to bring them back. Now that he had discovered the medicine, he told his friends about it and asked them to come to the lab. There was a gorilla in the lab that he had previously made invisible. They all tried very hard, first by knocking the gorilla unconscious and then laying it on the bed and tying its hands and feet. Then he injected the gorilla with that special medicine which Sebastian had discovered. When they applied the medicine to the gorilla to bring it back, they ran into a lot of trouble because the gorilla's heartbeat increased rapidly, and it seemed like the gorilla could not be saved anymore. They tried hard to save the gorilla and even gave it heart compressions so that its heartbeat could return to normal. Slowly, the gorilla regained consciousness, and they were very happy to have succeeded in their task. Their experiment was successful, and here we learn that these experiments were being conducted for the military. The Eyes military later held a meeting with them. There, Sebastian lied to them. He said that he hadn't discovered any medicine yet and asked for more time to complete the project successfully. Then the military officers said, "You have already taken a long time to do this. If you are unable to provide results quickly, we will assign someone else to take your place." After leaving the meeting, his two colleagues, Linda and Matthew, asked him why he lied in the meeting, why he said the experiment wasn't successful when they had already succeeded. Sebastian then replied that he lied because he wanted to apply that medicine to a human being, and that person was none other than himself. He then discussed the matter with his colleagues and again lied to them, saying that the military had ordered the medicine to be tested on a human. However, the truth was that no such order had come from above. Sebastian now wanted to apply the medicine to his own body. After hearing his reasoning, Linda and Matthew agreed. Then the invisibility potion was applied to Sebastian's body. This caused him severe pain, and after a while, he finally disappeared. As soon as he became invisible, Sebastian fell unconscious, and it took him about 17 hours to regain consciousness. After waking up, he could not tolerate any light and was in great pain, so they turned off all the lights. Now, Sebastian had completely disappeared. Then, some tests were performed on his body, and the results showed that his condition was completely normal. That meant he was healthy now. But all the women on the team started feeling uncomfortable because Sebastian, now invisible, often played tricks on them. They could feel his presence all around them. 3 days passed, and now it was time to make Sebastian visible again. That is, to bring him back to his original form. They applied the visibility drug to his body, and Sebastian began writhing in pain once more. But this time, the biggest problem was that Sebastian was still not visible, and he was on the verge of death. There was no other option left for them. They gave Sebastian a mask through which they could at least see him. Because of this, Sebastian got very angry. He started shouting at Matthew and scolding him furiously. He said that only he could feel the pain they had been giving him for 10 days, since he could not become visible again. His mental stability began to deteriorate. He had been invisible for so long and locked inside a room, so he wanted to get out of there. One day, out of frustration, he left the lab and returned to his home. When he got home, he saw his neighbor, a girl he had been watching for a long time. He took off his mask, went to the girl's house, and rang the doorbell. When the girl opened the door, she saw no one there, because Sebastian was invisible. Taking advantage of that, he entered the girl's room. Meanwhile, Linda went to Sebastian's house and saw his mask lying there, which made her very scared. Then Linda returned to the lab and discussed the situation with her colleagues. She said that Sebastian could become a danger to them because he was walking around without a mask. He was invisible, and none of them could see him. Just then, Sebastian came into the lab. Linda told him that if he ever did such a thing again, they would report him to the military. Sebastian got scared and agreed to Linda's warning, but everyone was still afraid because his mental state had become unstable, and he was acting strangely. They all decided that they would always keep an eye on Sebastian. Although Sebastian was invisible, there was a camera in the lab that could detect him even when he couldn't be seen, but Sebastian knew he was being watched, and that he couldn't leave leave the lab because if he did, everyone would know. So, he destroyed the lab's camera and played a previous recording so that everyone would think he was still there. Then he left the lab and went straight to Linda's house. When he arrived, he found that Linda and Matthew were in a relationship. Seeing this made him furious because he loved Linda very much. In a fit of rage, Sebastian broke the windows of Linda's house. When Linda went outside to check, she couldn't see anyone. She began to suspect that Sebastian must have done it. Linda called the lab to confirm her suspicion, and the guard at the lab told her that Sebastian was still there because the old video footage that Sebastian had played was still showing on the monitor. That's why the guard believed Sebastian was in the lab. But in reality, Sebastian was not there. Later, when he returned to the lab, he killed the dog in a fit of anger. The next day, when the veterinarian came to feed the dog, he found it dead. Then the doctor asked Sebastian if he had done it. Sebastian said he didn't know anything about it. He checked the monitors to make sure, but they didn't see anything unusual. Everything looked perfectly fine. That night, Sebastian went to Linda's house again, but this time Linda could feel his presence all around her, and her suspicions were confirmed that Sebastian had indeed come to her house. So, she went back to the lab and checked everything. Herself, she found out that Sebastian wasn't there. He had fooled them all. They decided to inform the senior doctor about this matter. Linda and Matthew then went to the senior doctor and told him everything that had happened. After hearing everything, the senior doctor became very angry. He kicked Linda and Matthew out of the project. After they left, the senior doctor wanted to inform the rest of his colleagues about what had happened, but suddenly his phone went dead. And then Sebastian appeared and drowned the senior doctor in the water. The next day, Sebastian returned to the lab again. Linda and Matthew were waiting for the senior doctor's call because he was supposed to have a meeting with them that day. Since the doctor was dead, his phone was not receiving any calls. When Linda called the doctor to confirm, she found out that he had drowned and died. Linda then decided to tell everyone about this project because she knew Sebastian would never let anyone who knew about his disappearance live. Sebastian would harm them at any cost. When she tried to call others, her phone also went dead. When they tried to go outside, they discovered that none of the doors were working because Sebastian had changed the security codes on all of them. They decided that they would catch Sebastian no matter what. Then it turned out that Sebastian had already gone to the lab. One of the girls had left some of her belongings there, and when she went to get them, Sebastian killed her. They all realized that Sebastian was going to kill them one by one because he didn't want anyone outside to know the terrible truth. They then used a tracker in the lab to find Sebastian's location. Two men went there to catch him. One was Matthew, and the other was Matthew's friend. There, Sebastian beat up Matthew's friend. And when Matthew shot at Sebastian, nothing happened to him. Amid the gas fumes, Matthew saw Sebastian's shadow, and then Sebastian ran away from there. Matthew's friend had lost a lot of blood and needed it urgently. One of Linda's friends went to get blood, but Sebastian appeared and killed her too. Meanwhile, Matthew's friend also died due to excessive blood loss. Now, only 3 people in the lab were alive: Linda, Matthew, and one of their friends. Then they went to look for the girl who had gone to get blood. They found that Sebastian had killed her and put her body inside the freezer room. Next, Sebastian killed the third person, Linda and Matthew's friend, by stabbing him with a metal rod. When Matthew tried to save his friend, Sebastian injured him as well. He locked Matthew and Linda inside the freezer room, turned on the freezer and left. They got trapped badly inside the freezing room. Sebastian wanted to freeze them both to death. The temperature in the freezer began to drop rapidly, but Linda didn't give up. She tried to break open the door, but she couldn't do it. Meanwhile, the wounded Matthew fainted from the cold. Then we see Sebastian preparing himself very carefully. He tried to make a bomb using chemicals, set the bomb's timer, and left. Linda then tried to open the freezer door using magnetic power. This time, she managed to get her friend Matthew out of the freezer and lit a fire beside him because his body had become extremely cold from being trapped inside. Then Linda went looking for Sebastian and found him inside an elevator. She reached the elevator before the doors could close. Linda had a gas cylinder in her hand. She set it on fire and threw it at Sebastian. Sebastian's entire body caught fire and he was burning in agony. In that situation, Linda wanted to take revenge on him. Sebastian then attacked Linda, but Linda had a crush on Sebastian, so she turned on a water pipe. Water started pouring down, extinguishing the flames on Sebastian's body. This time, he attacked Linda again. He stood with his foot on Linda's throat, trying to kill her. Linda was almost dying. Just then, Matthew arrived with a metal rod in his hand. He struck Sebastian on the head, and Sebastian immediately fell to the ground. Matthew picked Linda up and tried to leave. But just then, Sebastian tried to hit them with a large metal rod. Matthew sensed it and pushed Sebastian away. The large rod in Sebastian's hand touched an electric circuit, causing him to receive a severe electric shock. He fainted on the spot. Linda and Matthew then rushed to the place where Sebastian had planted the bomb, but they didn't realize that they didn't have enough time time left. They couldn't defuse the bomb. So they decided to get out of there quickly, but they couldn't use the elevator because Sebastian had already changed all the security codes for the gates. For that reason, the two of them continued to climb up using the emergency exit beside the elevator. Just as they were coming up, the bomb exploded. Then Sebastian appeared again and grabbed Linda's leg because he was still alive. Matthew tried to save Linda, but before they could reach the top, Sebastian dragged Linda back into the elevator. At that moment, Linda grabbed one of the wires connected to the elevator, which was used to move it up and down. She then pressed a button with her foot, causing the elevator to detach from her and fall downward. Sebastian also fell down with the elevator. There was a huge fire below caused by the explosion, and as a result, Sebastian burned to death in the flames. Then Linda went to Matthew, who was waiting for her. From that moment on, Linda and Matthew lived happily together. And this is where the movie ends. Thanks for watching this recap. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to comment below and tell me what else movie or series you want me to recap next.